Hi everybody! Welcome to week 2 of CAT125R. You all have been doing a fantastic job of getting yourself logged into the course website, taking a look around, participating on Piazza, and joining your discussion sections. So congratulations on a successful first week of the class and on really navigating your way through what I know for many of you is your first online class. So keep up the good work. Before we get started on the bulk of our introductory lecture this week, I wanted to make sure you all knew a couple of things about Zaption. So the first one is that I wanted to make sure you knew you could play the Zaption videos in full screen mode. This will allow you to view the detail on slides, which I know can be hard to see if you're in that small window inside of our course website. So the arrows here on this image show you where to click to get the full-size, full-screen version of Zaption. The other important thing I wanted you to know about Zaption is that even though this course gives you a full week to view your Zaption videos for each unit, I would really encourage you to view the videos prior to your section meetings each week. This will really work to your benefit because not only will it allow you to get the most out of your section meetings, it will also make sure that you are getting important information about the assignments you're working on before you actually start working on them. So try to build some time into your schedule each week to allow you to view these Zaption videos before you meet with your sections. In our lecture this week, we are going to do a brief grading breakdown. We're going to take a rhetorical view of the critical selfie assignment. We're going to start talking about collaboration and feedback, and we'll take a look at what's coming up in the course. I didn't get a chance to give you a grading breakdown last week, and I wanted to make sure that you are all familiar with this. Of course, you can find this on our course syllabus as well. The biggest chunk of your grade comes from your longer writing assignments, the statement of purpose assignment, your expertise speech, and your online curation assignment. You'll also have a significant portion of your grade from the Piazza posts and your response to your peers' Piazza posts. You'll be graded on participating in the peer review and drafting process, on attending your section and participating actively in those sections. That's 10% of your grade, and another 10% of your grade are weekly responses to the Zaption videos. So you'll need to complete those Zaption videos on a weekly basis, and you'll receive credit for completing all of the videos in a given unit. I wanted to share with you this quote from a scholar of composition studies named Don Murray, because I think it's a really important thing to keep in mind as we begin our work in this course. He writes that writing is primarily not a matter of talent, of dedication, of vision, of vocabulary, of style, but is simply a matter of sitting. The writer is a person who writes. So the thing I like about this class is that, or I'm sorry, about this quote, is that it really gets at the idea that writing is not something that we are just born knowing how to do. It also gets at the idea that writing is not something that you just learn with the flip of a switch, right? It's something that takes time. And if we are to believe this Murray quote, if we want to improve as writers, that means we must write. So we'll be doing a lot of writing in this class. We'll be writing in informal ways in your Piazza posts and more formal contexts. I would also add that in addition to what is said by Murray here, another important feature of being a writer is, or another important definition of a writer is that a writer is someone who writes in a context. And so that's something we'll be thinking about a lot in this class. You will be writing within context and participating within a community of writers, giving and receiving feedback on your writing as well. Last week we looked at some important vocabulary terms related to the idea of rhetoric. I wanted to add into the mix this definition of rhetoric from rhetorical scholar Andrea Lunsford, who says that rhetoric is the art, practice, and study of communication. And we'll always be thinking about all three of these dimensions of rhetoric in this class. the art, the study, and the practice. And you've already started doing that with your critical selfie assignment. You all did such a fantastic job with the critical selfies, and I have really enjoyed reading them and talking with you about them over Piazza. Your responses have really shown me that you're already thinking rhetorically about the ways in which you present yourself online and the ways in which various online contexts influence the messages we create. Another thing that has stood out to me as I've looked through the Piazza posts is that you all are clearly invested in the idea of a social network and a community in this class. I can see that many of you are reading one another's posts. The number of reads that individual posts are getting are quite high, and so that's fantastic to see that you all are interested in what one another has to say. I wanted to think about the critical selfie assignment in terms of the rhetorical triangle. So this might be something you've seen a version of in other classes. If you haven't, that's fine too. But this is one way of thinking about how a rhetorical message functions. So we see here in our rhetorical triangle, we have a context, right? So communication always takes place within a context. We have a purpose or a message. Right? What is being said? Why is it being said? We have the rhetor. Right? We talked about that term last week. Who is creating the message? We have an audience who is being addressed by the message. And we have choices and expectations, right? So a rhetor makes choices to create a message. You guys talked a lot about that in your critical selfie assignment. And an audience has expectations about what a message might look like or what their values or desires are in terms of receiving a particular message. So if we think about the critical selfie in terms of the rhetorical triangle, we can see that we had a very defined context for this assignment, right? We had the Piazza Forum. We could think about who the rhetor is pretty concretely as well, right? You all as individuals were creating these posts. However, even in this very confined environment of the Piazza Forum within a course website, we had multiple audiences. Right? We had the original poster who wrote the piece. We had your peers, TA, instructors, so multiple audiences, even in this fairly small context. And we also have multiple purposes, right, to create dialogue, to build community, as well as the purposes built into the context defined in the assignment, right, the purpose of your particular Facebook profile image, etc. In your reading for this week, Anthony Atkins discusses strategies for successful collaboration online. These strategies will be especially useful for your final assignment in the course, in which you will collaborate with a group of your peers. For now, I want you to think about collaboration primarily in terms of the feedback that you're giving one another. So you've all already started this with your feedback on the critical selfie Piazza posts. In your lecture materials this week, you're going to learn about a few different types of feedback. Mostly the types of feedback we're used to giving online are evaluative feedback. For example, likes on Facebook would be an example of evaluative feedback. But in this class, we're going to be thinking about a few other types of feedback. Your lecture materials this week from Professor Liz Losh discuss corrective feedback, the idea of saying what's wrong, marking errors in a paper, for example. Evaluative feedback in the classroom context would be something like receiving a grade. What we're most interested in this class is facilitative feedback, so the kind of feedback that motivates revision. This might look like asking a question of your peers on Piazza, making suggestions, or even just encouraging a writer to continue moving in a particular direction. You also, in addition to your lectures from Liz Losh this week, will be watching an interview with Mimi Ito, who is discussing affinity groups as communities of practice. how people use online groups to refine, craft, and support their rhetorical activities. This work you're doing so far in the course is all building towards your first longer assignment in the course, which is a statement of purpose. You can read the full prompt of the statement of purpose assignment under the assignments link on the toolbar on the left-hand side of our course page. So a statement of purpose is sometimes also called a personal statement, and this is the type of document that you would produce to apply to graduate or professional school. Even if you are someone who does not have plans for graduate or professional school, writing this kind of document can still be very useful, particularly if you think about it as a written rehearsal for an answer to an open-ended interview question. So for example, if you are having a job interview and the interviewer asks you, why do you think you're the best candidate for this position? The type of writing you will have done for the statement of purpose will prepare you to answer a question like that. If we think about the personal statement and the rhetorical triangle, we have we'll be doing some work with your upcoming Piazza assignment to get you started with that. So you as a rhetor will need to become aware of who your audience is for the statement of purpose. And that's what your first Piazza assignment is asking you to do. So for that next Piazza assignment, the Understanding the Audience post, we're asking you to research an institution or program in which you are interested in order to really understand what that program is looking for in a candidate. This will help you filter through your experiences to decide which ones are most relevant for your statement of purpose. So good luck this week, and as always, please do not hesitate to reach out to me with any questions that you might have, and I will see you on Piazza.